Watching the SA Sports Show, we're going to have a chat with an outstanding wheelchair para table tennis player. Crowden joins us. Caleb, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good.
Mate, we're having a bit of a chat before we got on air, so just to give the viewers some idea, mate, I said 2014 you started to play table tennis. Yeah. 5 years later, mate, he's playing at the World Championships, he's playing for Australia. I mean, just an unbelievable rise in a short period of time, mate. What do you put that down to?
Look, I mean, it takes a long time to be good at table tennis. My first coach said that it takes 6 years to fully learn how to play.
Yep.
But I think I've had a great support system here in Australia, both at the top from the national coaches and the physios and stuff like that. But it comes down to the family that you have and the local coaches that really push you to kind of be the best that you can be.
All right, let's talk about your family, mate, because obviously they played a big part in your rise. So 2009, you said you weren't in a real great place, and then your family grabbed you, kicking and screaming. Yeah. And so how did you find table tennis?
So, like I said, I had a surgery back in 2009, and it affected me quite greatly. It made me physically better, but I ended up being quite depressed and didn't really want to leave the house, didn't want to do anything. And my family loved me a lot, but they got quite sick of me towards the end of 2009, which is understandable. I can be a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. And they dragged me kicking and screaming to the local table tennis club. And I met my coach there as I walked into the door. He came running at me and was like, "Come on, let's go and play." And the rest is history.
So did you have table tennis before the operation? Were you a table tennis player? Have you ever played the game?
Not at all. When I first walked into the club and heard about it, I thought it was the most boring sport on the planet. Like, who wants to sit there and hit a table tennis ball?
Did you find it natural when you grabbed a bat? I've often wondered this, mate, how people do this, because he hasn't played before. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking 2014, 2019.
Rapid
all of a sudden
rise.
you're playing for Australia.
Yep.
When you picked up that bat,
yeah,
did it feel natural to you? When you feel, hey, this might be a bit of me?
I think it felt natural being in a sporting environment because my family is quite heavily sport orientated. But I'd always tried more physical sports like wheelchair basketball or wheelchair rugby. So going something that it was a bit more isolated, I guess you could say. It felt a bit different, but still relatable to what I was doing.
I think Caleb's showing some intelligence now,
Wheelchair
mate. Have you ever watched wheelchair rugby?
I have.
You played for a little while, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
It is the most dangerous sport I've ever watched in my life.
It really is an incredibly rough game. Its nickname is Murderball, which is pretty apt description.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely love it. If it wasn't for table tennis, I'd be playing rugby.
Really?
So, yeah.
Mate, let's talk about your rise, mate, because it is pretty spectacular. 2017, you start representing Australia, so technically you've been playing 3 years.
Yeah.
Oceania comes along, mate, you go to China, Commonwealth Games, we'll talk about those in a minute coming up.
Yeah.
Can you believe the ride in that 3 years?
Oh, I really can't, to be honest. It's been one crazy roller coaster of positive and negative emotion to get as far as I have so quickly with the support that I've had in the family. I have to pinch myself to make sure it's actually happening.
Mate, the Brighton Table Tennis Clubs, it's a really good facility down there, and you've already talked about the people down there. How many nights a week would you be down there?
It'd be at least 6 nights a week on an easy week, 7 most of the time.
Any shoulder problems? Because that's normally the table tennis,
yeah,
you know, the slicing and...
Yeah, so oddly enough, I've had shoulder issues with like opening my shoulders up because everything we do is forward. We need to make sure that we keep everything straight and opened up. But the physios work really closely with us. I see them every couple of days just to make sure that we're okay.
Mate, we see the Chinese play this game, you know, and they are just unbelievable. Some of the games that you watch are just unbelievable. Who's been your toughest opponent? Has it been the Chinese or the...
Yeah, well, in my classification, the strongest players are Turkey. Yeah. But my kind of personal rival, the hardest I've come up against is a Chinese player. Yeah. He's world number 6. I have played him 5 times and I haven't been able to beat him yet, but I'm getting closer every time, so we'll see how it goes.
Do you feel like you're seriously getting closer to knock him off? You know, every time you play him, you pick something else up, or are you just getting closer because you're working harder?
Look, I think it's a bit of both. He's improving, I'm improving, but I think because I'm younger and I'm coming up, I can pick up a couple of these things, whereas he's at his peak at the moment.
Yeah.
So if I can keep working and in myself, I reckon I can get there.
Mate, normally players have a couple of weapons, a couple of favourites in their game. What's yours?
So it'd have to be my forehand's probably my best shot.
Yep.
Just that, especially that aggressive cross-court ball. I have a couple of others on the backhand short drop shot that'll set me up for that kind of thing, but definitely the forehand.
Do you reckon people don't understand the intricacies of the game of table tennis? Did you find, I mean, we all think we'll go out the backyard and we'll play a bit of table tennis. I'm actually pretty good. Yeah. But when you go and watch these guys and the girls play, the mind it's like a fast chess game, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. It's I had a friend describe it once as fast-paced chess.
Yeah.
And it really is. You pick it up and you're like you said, oh, I'm good at this. This is pretty easy. But once you start playing against players that can do a lot of spin on their serves, on their shots, reverse the spin or make it look like something else, it becomes a very, very challenging game.
I get the other part that people miss. I don't know whether you call it the bat or the paddle. Everyone calls it as a different term for it. But the rubbers that you use on it vary. And people over the journey have actually cheated with this, Baz, where they put a different rubber on to slow the ball down or to get more spin. And they're pretty specific now in checking it before you play. But then also the glue's an important part as well, isn't it? So it's not just go out and buy a bat. It's actually a complicated art to prepare the tools that you play with.
Oh, very much so. I have about 4 different bats that are exactly the same that I have for training, for warm-ups, for competition. And to prepare one of those bats, it's usually a 6-hour process of having the glues on right, cutting the rubber so they fit onto the blade is what we call it. Then the clamping process, and you've just got to wait and make sure that it dries properly.
Wow. Just quickly, mate, because the floor manager's going crazy here trying to wind us up and we want to talk to you a bit longer. 2021, Com Games are coming up in England.
Yeah.
Is it progressing along pretty good for you? Training's going along okay, regardless of what's happening over here with Corona? Everything's running along pretty smooth?
Yeah, we've been really lucky. I've been really lucky that I have a table at home. So I've been able to train and everything seems to be progressing really well, yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Cal, we really appreciate you coming in. Crowden was our special guest. Keep an eye out. Commonwealth Games 2021. He's going to be representing us and doing really well. Stay with us.